Today we're being joined by Sydney Swans AFLW youngster Alexia Hamilton. Lexi, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Cooper, for having me. Very excited to have a chat.
No worries. So tell us a bit about yourself for people that don't know too much about you. What type of player you would describe yourself as, and how you got into footy?
So footy-wise, I would describe myself as like an aggressive, versatile kind of key position player.
Yep.
Sort of my whole football career, I've been kind of thrown wherever fits best. So I've played
Yep.
through all the lines, like mainly key positions, so key back and then ruck and then forward as well throughout my career. When I first started, I was kind of always the tallest as ruck, so I was always in that midfield position. But now that everyone's kept growing and I haven't kept growing, I fall into like a little bit of a key position player that kind of plays around the ground. But when I am ruck, I don't necessarily like consider myself as like a true ruck. I'd become like sort of another midfielder and try and get a few
Okay.
possessions around the ball and help work the ball up the ground and help back in transition as well. So it's good. But I got into footy through my family. Like my dad had played when he was younger, just local footy. And at the time, I was like, I started when I was like maybe 15, 16. So, and my brother was playing. And initially, like when I wanted to join, when I was like 14, there was not really a established like youth girls competition. There was only senior women's, and I was too young to play, so I was kind of turned away. And then about a year later, I joined a football club down in Canberra and played my first like youth girls tournament, and then sort of everything just kind of took off from there.
So you've played at 3 AFLW clubs. So you played at Gold Coast, you played at North, and now at the Swans the last few seasons. How was that draft night for you? The very first night when you got drafted, all the way back in 2019 at pick 38. How was that? How was that night, and how was the lead up into that night? Was it, I'm sure, pretty nervous at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think so I got picked up as a second year draft. So my first draft year I got missed, which was quite unfortunate. And back then, I guess the concept of like management and what's the word? Nomination wasn't quite as established as it is today. So you'd kind of nominate without any certainty whether you were going to get picked up or not. So coming from Canberra, I nominated New South Wales and ACT, and then unfortunately didn't get picked up by the Giants. And then had some really strong conversations the following year. And then when I finally had my name read out, it's a pretty surreal feeling. But I think a lot of the people I had around me were really really like they really brought me down. Like they not brought me down, but they brought me back down to earth and said like, getting drafted is just like the first step in your journey, like sustaining a spot on your list, which I've been fortunate enough to experience both sides of that. And making connections and enjoying football is another thing. So getting drafted is not the easy thing. It's still a very, very hard task to do, but it's kind of like AFLW is such a whirlwind of an experience, and if you don't appreciate it all, it can very quickly just slip away. So getting drafted was awesome, but then staying on the list and actually enjoying footy was the next task.
How was your debut for the Suns in the AFLW? How was that game you played in round 1 of 2020?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you know the score of that game. That was I think the lowest scoring game in AFLW history. We played it, I think it was Blacktown. It was pouring. I was a key tall forward. It was like 7-6 or something. It was a terrible day out. But be able to make my debut in round it was round 1, was it?
Yeah, round 1.
No, I don't know. Yeah, round 1. Yeah. Was pretty awesome to run out with the girls, and although we didn't get the win, it was like such a surreal feeling to be able to make my debut. And then the rest of the season obviously was quite a tough one for me. Like I was named emergency probably the following 7 out of 10 or 7 out of 8 games. Like it was quite a difficult year, and I struggled a little bit away from home, and probably needed a little bit more support, like as a young athlete. But it was such a surreal feeling, and that's one that I'll cherish forever. Like your first game in AFLW, your debut, having all my family and stuff there was pretty awesome.
The transition to North Melbourne, how did that come about, and how was that opportunity at the Roos as well?
Yeah, so following my season at Gold Coast, that was the season that COVID cut us short, and we also went into a lockdown. So I'd moved back home. Had my end-of-season reviews and stuff, which were quite positive, and then moved back home, and then the uncertainty of relocation and training and everything, I wasn't offered a new
Mm.
contract at Suns, which was, I mean, a bit of a blessing in disguise in consideration of where I am now and how happy I am with
Yeah.
my life. Um, but I decided that my journey wasn't really over still. So I traveled from Canberra to Melbourne, which is a 7-hour one way, so 14-hour return drive.
Wow.
And yeah, I was doing that. I played 14 rounds in the VFLW,
Mm-hmm.
and I just enjoyed my footy down in Melbourne. I really loved the girls, and then was lucky enough to be picked up as an injury replacement
Hmm.
following an ACL injury in AFLW. Joined North Melbourne because I'd already had a bit to do with North Melbourne as the VFL club that I was playing for.
Yeah.
It was such an easy transition, which I was super lucky for, and the girls were amazing. Like I loved my time at North, and still keep in touch with some of the girls today. Like they're such a great group of girls, and
Mm.
um, I'm super appreciative of their program, and they're a part of my journey. Um, and then yeah, I was lucky enough to play a few games for them, and really, and once again, like be named as emergency, so really be around that traveling and
Mm.
professional side of game day and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, following that season, I was lucky enough to end up in Sydney.
Mm. So you mentioned then you came to Sydney. How was that swap as
Yeah,
well? And then to finally play for your sister Cynthia as well must be an even better moment to be at the same club and then playing regularly this season as well with her.
yeah, absolutely. Like I've been a blood supporter like forever. Like
Mm.
I was pretty much forced into supporting the Swans out of my household. You only really had one option. So when Swans came into the competition, it was pretty much a no-brainer. I had a contract sitting in front of me, and um,
Mm.
like it was one of probably the easiest decisions I've ever made. And Scott and Kate were really, um, the heads of the football club in the women's aspect. They were super welcoming, and I just felt like this is a place I could call home. So it was such
Mm.
an easy call. And yeah, there was obviously a few people that I had to run it by, but my parents were my parents were
Mm.
more than happy for me to join Sydney, meant closer to home, closer to Canberra.
Yeah.
And also like playing with the Swans was just such a surreal feeling. And then yeah, Cynthia obviously joined the Swans as well, which was just like playing with your sister is like
Mm.
just having that in the back of your mind, knowing that you've got your family there as well and your whole family behind you
Mm.
was unreal. And then yeah, to get a consistent spot, like I just felt like at my previous clubs, I had so much to give, and I wasn't quite just getting an opportunity. And
Mm.
yeah, Scott really gave me that opportunity. And I feel like I've really grown into this group of girls, and I'm just really loving the atmosphere and culture we're building at Swans, and we're just constantly growing. And you could have seen like with our performance this year already, like we've just
Yeah.
grown so much as a group. So it's a really exciting time. But yeah, playing with Cynthia, obviously she took out club champion last year, and I
Yeah.
always say like she owes it to me, like as her little mentor. Um,
Yeah.
but it's really good also to be there for Cynthia, like in her early days, because I know when my time at Gold Coast when I was just 18, 19, I really would have benefited from somebody um, just showing me the ropes, showing me like professionalism, showing me,
Mm.
you should be doing this more, like this baseline. You don't just have to show up for training; you've actually got to just train. So um, like that was my goal in my first year at Swans. Is like I think I was 21, 22, 21. I said like I really want to help those young girls who have just been drafted find their way in the system, because those first few years are really tough, and until you
Yeah.
find your feet, it's very easy to feel like very overwhelmed by the system. And it's such a different change from coming out of school, and some girls were still in school. So yeah, to
Yeah.
provide that support for them as well, it's like a two-way relationship.
Mm. How do you think the season's gone so far? You obviously had you had to win in round one against the Giants, the club's first ever win, which was obviously awesome, I would assume, and then beating the Power last week, and then I think it was West Coast the other one. How's the season been so far? Because there's been a few mixed results, but there's been some really good performances as of late too, especially.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, so I unfortunately missed our round one win. I was out with an
Yeah.
MCL injury I did in a practice match, so I had a couple weeks rest. And that happened to be the final week that I the final week that I had to knock off my rehab. But yeah, just
Yeah.
to be around the girls that day was unreal. Like such a great win, and especially against Giants, there's a lot of history there between
Yeah.
the men's side of football as well. So it was
Definitely.
unreal to be able to get over the top of GWS, and they've just had their first win of the season as well. So well done to them to kind of fight their way back. But um, yeah, the win was unreal, and it was such a high, and the whole club was on such a high from losing 10 straight games last season with no real
Mm.
outlook on winning. We only came close in a couple of games. Um,
Yeah.
and then to get first win in round one was unreal. But then to follow it up, like Scott talks about, like it's not about our first win. It's about the bridge in between our first and second win, and then our second and third win. That'll determine, the progression of this club. So then to get our second win against West Coast was something like quite euphoric, and that was my first win with the club as well. So that was
Mm.
awesome. We came close with Carlton, and we've spoken
Yeah,
about
definitely.
a game of moments, and sometimes we weren't able to take our moments, and Carlton were the
Mm.
better at taking their moments in terms of that game, and then Port on the weekend was just unbelievable when you
Mm.
compare about how we were last season. Like we went, I think it was 66-2 or something. We got absolutely flogged. So to be able to come
Mm.
back and then put on a performance like we did against Port on the weekend, and credit to Port, they're a great team, and their culture, like their terrace
Yeah.
part and stuff was unreal to
Mm.
be, to witness that on the other side.
Yeah,
But
that's pretty cool.
um, it was unreal. But um, to be able to get the win over Port, and we're only 6 rounds in to be 3-3.
Mm.
It's pretty drastic change, and I think them like whilst our on-field stuff has been old, like been getting better. It's a lot of our off-field stuff, so our connections and
Mm.
building our culture and really our grassroots as well. Like it's not just about football at the end of the day. It's about building a really sustainable club that's going to provide a really good pathway for
Mm.
people wanting to get drafted. And it's one thing being a good team, but building a really good progressive pathway for
Mm.
girls to then fall into and feel comfortable coming into that program is something I think we're really working on as well.
That Cowan game you mentioned, I went to that game, and it was probably, like you said, a few moments of probably decision making. I felt it was a little bit. I think it was in the first half in particular. There might have been some shots where some of the girls were probably in distance, probably tried to be, uh, just trying to think of the word, like trying to pass it off too much. Probably that extra pass a bit too much in the first half. Because I remember, for instance, being on the side it happened where they probably could have been in range, but regardless, it was still close in that game, and it was just close enough to winning that game. Then the Hawks this week at home, obviously, it's side similar on the ladder. They've had a few close losses lately, but obviously another opportunity to pull another wings. You're only percentage out of the top 8 at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're not from where we were last year. It's
Mm.
like it's huge to think of where we are this year. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Like we're still in finals contention. Like whilst we've lost a couple, the season's not over, and I think
Yeah,
that's the hard thing about the 10-game season is that it just flies by so quickly. Like so,
it does.
to think that we've only got 4 games left and we're over halfway in the season is
Mm.
unreal. But yeah, Hawks this week at home, which is super super exciting. We had a really good game against them last year as well, and we've picked up well. They've picked up well, so it'll be really interesting to see. I think it'll be quite a similar game to like our Carlton game, where it's a game of moments, and we've really got to step it
Mm.
up. They've got some really quality players in there, so we've got to be able to bring effort and intensity once again this weekend, and
Mm.
we'll go into our pre-match oppo review, I think sometime later this week, so we'll be able to
Yep.
get the messages strong about what's required to sort of get the job done this weekend, because yeah, absolutely, like just outside the top 8. So we're not done. We've won 3, but we're not done,
Mm.
and that's something that we're really focusing on. Like we can't just sit back and be content with 3 wins because we had 0 wins last season. So really want to keep on
Yeah.
driving our standards up, and aim to be the best club still.
What's a week to week like for as an AFLW football? Obviously, be given to the men's program, obviously with the season being longer and everything like that. But how's the week to week like for you personally?
So I'm also a registered nurse and registered paramedic. So I completed
Mm.
my 4-year uni degree at the end of last year. So I'm currently working as a registered nurse in lifeblood. So being that gap between
Nice.
obviously blood donation and then for the person that receives it in a trauma side.
Yeah.
And so a week to week. So we were in the club last night, so you would do oppo review, some recovery, match review, recovery, um, bit of gym, like bit of just like mobility stuff,
Yep.
line reviews, and then some of your one-on-one reviews about your game on the weekend. And that includes for like the girls who play in the scrimmage, so they'll get some reviews done as well, so they
Yeah.
can continue their development. Um, Typically, we have like a break in between our main sessions. So tonight we have T1, so our first training of the week. So we come in
Yep.
anywhere between like 2 and 3.
Yep.
And then we've got gym, a couple of meetings to get through on the track, structured recovery, and then dinner. And we're obviously with our new facility this year, we're lucky enough to have, a chef on site. So we get our
Yeah.
dinner prepared for us as well, which is just outstanding this year. It just is so easy for other responsibilities you have in your life. For me, then tomorrow, like on the Wednesday, I'm working, and then Thursday work as well. But Wednesday is our day off. So
Okay.
girls who have work outside of football, they can work, and girls who have uni, that can be their big uni day. Thursday, I'm working again, but then we have training in the afternoon. Usually, like Wednesday will be sort of like your match selection and
Yeah.
stuff. We get a gauge of like what's going on for the weekend. Thursday will be second training, so more of a structured approach into the weekend rather than so like T1 is like our training one is more like a review thing. What do we need to work on for the weekend? And then our Thursday or T2 training is more going into the weekend. What do we need to work on? Are there any sort of certain types of ball movement we need to try and adjust, and whether we're going to try some different positions this weekend? And then like for Saturday games, obviously you have your Friday match preparation,
Mm.
and that'll be just a short, quick like 45 minutes on the track, just like kind of
Yeah.
get out any cobwebs, stretch your legs, get some ball movement going, and then like some more recovery throughout the week, saunas and ice baths on top of those, just to make sure, and massage to make sure that you're ready for the weekend. And then
Mm-hmm.
obviously, Saturday going into the game, so it'll be a lot of I think we have a 3 o'clock game this week, which is good. So I think it's quite hot in
Mm.
Sydney, so it'd be nice to sort of get an Arvo game. But girls have the freedom to do kind of whatever they want that morning, whether that be like going for walks or breakfast. Obviously, game day is quite structured, and then
Yeah.
Sunday will all be recovery, and then go back again on
Saturday
Monday.
then.
So we really only get like one sort of day off like this week. So obviously we're
Mm.
there Monday, Tuesday, day off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, game day Saturday, and then Sunday off. So it is still quite full on, but
Mm.
those, I think the big difference between the men's and women's program, we're still in there quite a bit, but is the
Yeah.
duration and the timing of training. So we will train from like sort of 3 till 9 or 4 till 9 p.m., whereas the men,
Okay.
they're in there
Yeah.
10 till 4. So
Yeah.
we're still in there quite a bit, and we have a couple of shorter days as well, which is nice.
Mm.
Um, Obviously, with less players, we don't have to get 60 boys through the gym and stuff. So it's nice
Yeah.
to and now that the boys are on off season, we sort of have a lot of space for ourselves. So it's quite nice.
Good. Yeah, Danielle Ponton, when she kicked the goal from the centre square, I don't know if you remember that. Do you think you'd be able to recreate that moment, or any teammate that thinks they'd be able to recreate that?
I think if there was anyone that would be able to recreate it, it's probably, I think, either like Cynthia or Chloe.
Yeah.
They've just got like massive boots.
Mm.
Like I think Cynthia kicked one last year from just outside the 50. Like it dribbled in.
Okay.
Did Pontus go straight? Like was it on the full or it
I
bounced
did
in?
bounce a fair bit, probably
Yeah, I was about to
25
say.
metres or so in front, and bounced through a couple of
Yeah,
players who were over the head, I think, or beside them. Yeah.
yeah. No, I think if there was anyone that would be able to do it, it'd probably be Chloe or Cynthia. Like they're both
Yeah.
very very rooster kicks. Like they can get some meters on the ball. So I think with a good wind, they would definitely be able to get it behind the pack and through the goals. Yeah, for sure.
So speaking of goals, your first AFLW goal, AFLW goal? Do you remember it, and how was it?
Yeah, so round 3 last year against the Giants. I think I remember like just being over the world because it wasn't
Mm.
like it wasn't just a goal given to me. I really had to work for it, and I remember it was a really good contested mark, and there was a few girls in there that were
Mm.
strong contested marks for Giants as well. So to be able to get over the top and get a hold of the ball was real good. And then to finish it off with
Mm.
unreal at SCG. So first ever AFLW player to kick a goal at SCG,
Well, that's
which was
awesome.
surreal.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So something that'll forever be it's that can't change. So that was awesome. And then to kick my first goal against the Giants, and that was my debut
Mm.
game. Like my Gold Coast debut game was against the Giants
Oh,
as
right.
well. So
Yeah.
a bit ironic. So it was pretty unreal. And then to have
Mm.
like Cynthia alongside me, and then some of the girls that are some of my
Mm.
closest friends playing as well, which which was unreal. So that was an awesome experience. And even though we lost the game on the day, it was such a surreal experience to get that first SCG game and then to get my first goal. So yeah.
You played 18 AFLW games currently. Well, what's the best individual game you've played in, whether you've played on a really strong opponent and you've kept them goalless or kept them to minimal impact?
I think I can't remember if it was against Hawks or Essendon. I think it was against Essendon last season, maybe. I just had like plenty of the footy. Like I was in such good positions, ran really well around the ground. I felt quite good. But even my game on the weekend, I thought was quite good from a contest side. Like I didn't really let my opponent and then get too much of the footy. Like coming against Houghton and Schultz, like it was really good to not let them dominate me in any aspect of the ground as a bit of an undersized player. Like I'm only 177 and both those girls are quite tall and quite strong in the contest. So to be able to really minimize their impact around the ground was something that I was really happy with. Whereas I think some of my scrimmage matches were really good. Like our pre-season matches were quite good. Obviously I injured my knee in match 2 against Carlton, so that was quite hard. And that's like I guess like my first kind of serious-ish injury. So coming back from that, like in terms of confidence and flying at the footy and stuff has been something that I'm consistently working on, and I'm sort of finding my feet a little bit now, a couple of games later. So I think we haven't really seen my best footy yet. I've just been building, and I think this season was something that I've been really trying to come out of. And then with my MCL injury in the preseason, it's just I've been like sort of slowly accumulating confidence and getting back up to where I'd like to play my football. So I think I don't know if my best footy is yet to come too much. Yeah.
Well, hopefully there's some more good games to come. Who would you say is your best player in the competition? Not necessarily this year, but just in general, who do you feel the best player is in the comp?
In the whole competition.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've had a few players on, or a fair few on the last few months who've picked their own teammates. Are you going to go outside it, or are you going to? A lot of people pick their own players, but fair enough though.
I think like getting the ball is one thing, but then using the ball well is like another thing. So, like it seems so bad, but like it's because I'm from North, but I think Jasmine Garner is one of the better players in the competition at the moment. I think the way she uses the footy, is able to get her own ball and then impact forward and then help back with her tackle pressure is like outstanding. I think she's really hard working. Like looking at her GPS numbers and from my time that I was with North was just outstanding. Her work rate and intensity around the ground is just phenomenal, and I think her transition is unbelievable as well. And then obviously like some more high possession player ball getters are super impactful, but just what they do with the ball and then their defensive pressure, I think really isolates Jasmine as one of the better players in the competition, and she's having a fantastic season. So I love watching her play, and I think really respect her as a player. And I think that was one of our goals when we came up against North last year, is to really minimise her impact, around the footy. I think she's just an outstanding player. That's if I was a midfielder, like a midfield forward that wasn't a tall key position player, that's someone I wanted to aspire to kind of play like.
She's a very good player and she's having a great season so far. There's eventually Garner might get mentioned here again, but who do you think's going to win the best player for this season at the end of the season in the competition? Is it Jasmine Garner, or is there some other names floating around that you think could be that potential winner?
I think she would definitely be up there, along with your other consistent showers that come every year that they could be in contention. Ed Hatchard, and we might even have a couple of our girls up in the running. They've been in really good form this season.
Laura Garner's been pretty good.
Absolutely. Laura's been outstanding this season. Really great recruit that we've been able to have her here at Sydney. So she's an outstanding player, and she just goes about her business and works really hard. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's up there, in the higher ranks within the best and fairest count at the end of the year. But it's just, I think the level of football has gone up so much this season. Like the the professionalism amongst the girls is amongst the entire league has been outstanding. I think girls are really invested in AFLW completely. Like I think back to my first season when the pay was really hard.
Mm.
And it was really hard. The commitment was really hard, and there wasn't quite a complete buy-in. But now, I think a lot of athletes are saying like this is a real career. So the buy-in I think is
Mm.
completely there, and I think there's there's so many girls who could be in contention of this year's best and fairest. But 4 rounds to go. It's really anyone's game at the end of the day.
That's very true. Any few game slip-ups and someone else will be up at the top. Who at the Swans
Absolutely.
or former teammate who loves the limelight, the intention, and just knows where the camera is, or in a game day if they kick a nice goal and they know it's there and they got to over-exaggerate a celebration or whatever it is?
Probably Chloe. Chloe loves she loves the little goal celebration. I think she actually did a bit of a hear me one on the weekend. I think she did.
Yeah.
But yeah, she kicks some outstanding goals and she celebrates even harder. So that's awesome. Who else? Obviously, Dakota Davidson loves a celebration.
Yeah, I could tell about that Frankston game she does.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's our Brooke Lachlan. She loves to celebrate as well. In terms of
Mhm.
the cameras and stuff and limelight.
Yeah.
There's a couple of girls who love the social media and stuff as well in the
Yeah.
team. Some of the younger girls they love to get around it. But yeah, I think in terms of goal celebrations and that side of stuff, yeah, Chloe and Brooke Lachlan, they love a goal celebration. But I think if you kick an outstanding goal, you deserve to kind of show it off. Yeah.
That's very true. Do you play AFLW fantasy and do you know about it?
I don't play AFLW. I do hear some people talking about it. I think
Mm.
I don't know too much even about it. I think
Yeah.
you choose some people, they're worth some money,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
then depending on how they play,
Yeah.
I don't know
So
what
who would
happens from
you
there.
say?
I don't know if you verse.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Go
on.
on. Sorry. As I was
No,
going to say,
I don't know how
who?
it works, but you just choose, right? You just
Yeah.
choose players,
That's
and
right.
that's
Yeah,
it.
you have a select. You have a
Yeah,
money quota. You have 5 defenders, 6 mids, a ruckman, and 5 forwards. So yeah, something like that.
yeah,
And then
okay,
you have
yeah,
a bench for one each in each position, and utility they class it as. But yeah,
yeah.
who would be the teammate or former teammate that would pick themselves, no matter how good they are, then they would just pick themselves, no matter their price or form.
Um, at the moment, I reckon probably Morph, Ali Morfitt.
Yeah.
She would love herself to be in the ruck. Um, I don't know who else. Maybe
You've got a lot of percentage owned too, so it wouldn't be the only one.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, she would. Yeah, granted, she's had a great season, so probably pick her
Mm.
too. But I don't know who else. I think a lot of the other girls are quite grounded and quite humble. There's not too many girls that think they're on top of the world, which is great for our
Yeah.
culture.
Mm.
Who else may? I think girls would almost not pick themselves. I think female athletes are quite
Okay.
hard on their abilities, and they'd be like, "No, I'm not good enough." But they
Mm.
probably should pick themselves. Yeah, I'd put a couple of girls in my team from our group of girls, and then see how they work with. I think they'd work well. Like if you made your all Australian team now and let them
Yeah.
play, like it would be unreal. Some of the girls and talent that we have in the FW at the moment is unreal. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there? It's funny. I do for my own page. I do an All Australian team. I do a team of the week, and I do my own medal, like a Brownlow medal version. I'd call it a Scoops medal. Yeah, there's some Swans players that are up there at the moment. Is there any players that check their stats as soon as the game's over? A bit similar to fantasy. They once the game's over, or when they're allowed access to their phone, they're straight to the AFL Live app to check how their stats went and compare it against whoever.
Oh, I like after the game, it's quite all a bit frazzled. Like the girls, some girls go and call the parents because we've got interstate girls, and some girls kind
Yeah.
of. I think on the bus, a lot of girls check, just to see, mainly team possessions. Like, did we lose in contested ball?
Yeah.
Did we lose in free kicks and stuff like that? In terms of personal stats, I haven't really seen too many people checking.
Yeah.
I think Ella checks. I think sometimes after the game because sometimes she'll say oh someone got this many the touches or something. I'm like, oh, how do you know that? But besides that, I don't know if there's many girls check straight away, but probably on the bus they'd have a look and kind of see. I love to check as well, like, and be like sort of acknowledge the girls that played a really outstanding game. Like when Laura got, when she's had a heap of disposals, it's really good to get around her. So,
Yeah.
and even like contested marking, like Ella's contested marking has been outstanding. So her intercept possessions, get around them and check the stats and see, because it's super easy to just walk away from the game and take what you thought, and but then to check, have a look at actually what's happened outside and how many tackles someone's laid. You don't really realize how much of an impact someone had on the game until you have a look. But yeah, it's good to get around those girls as well.
If you could poach one player from any club, who would it be? Or a couple of people as well. If there's a couple others you would like to take as well.
Ooh, I think in terms of like once again, like Jazz Garner, I think she's outstanding and she'd fit into our culture like perfectly.
Yeah.
We'll take Jenna as well. She can come with us. Who have we versed? I wouldn't mind Schultz from Port Adelaide. She was an outstanding ruck, and I think Port Ruck. She was outstanding, and I think her work rate around the ground. She's such a young player, and she's really got some potential in her game. Obviously, like Bree Moody, she played a cracker game against us as well. I think we lack a bit of height around the ground, which would be outstanding. I think we need a really tall back as well. Is someone I would try and poach. So who could we take? Best key defender. Who is a good key defender?
I'm just trying to think. So there's
Cooper?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of going through a few teams. I mean, that's an interesting one because I don't
Maybe
think
Caitlin Gould.
Yeah, from the Crows. Yeah, that's a good choice. It's popping up for a few goals this year too.
She can go anywhere, so she's outstanding.
Yeah, there's no probably real clear standout. I think there's a pretty even spread. No, I can't think of any off the top of my head. Belinda Smith for West Coast. I've just noticed the last few weeks for a key defender getting about 20 touches the last few weeks. I mean, pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, who's a player in the competition that you feel is a bit, or it can be at the Swans or anywhere, it's a bit underappreciated? So, in other words, a player that doesn't get talked up as much. Obviously, you hear the big names every single week, but who's someone that doesn't get talked about that should?
In all of the AFL, or a teammate. It's a hard question. I think Bella Smith is having an outstanding season for us. She's obviously like sort of coming into limelight now as a bit of a key forward, which is really good because we like with me going to the ruck and we share that position really well. So I think she's having an outstanding game and she's very underrated at the moment, her impact on the ground. In terms of teammates as well, like Privatelli, she's having an outstanding season. But I think Brenna Tarrant, in terms of our team, Brenna Tarrant's been outstanding down in the back line this season. Her work rate and her ability to come up and impact the ball has been very good, and her decisions have been much better this season. I think that's something she's worked on. So I think she's having an outstanding season. And to be quite honest with you, I don't really watch too much other. I watch AFLW a bit, but I don't really watch too much in terms of like consistency. I really just focus on our pre-matches and opera analysis, and then try and stick out a footy for as much as I can. Otherwise, it becomes a bit like your whole life if I try and watch all the games. So I don't know who's having like a really good season in terms of underappreciation, but I think I think it's a bit like thinking the same. Like it's a bit of a year of the rucks, like they're really having more of an impact around the ground, and you saw that like with Port Adelaide with Schultz on the weekend and Bree Moody on the weekend before, and then like I think they've just really and like Ali Morfitt season this year that they're having such an impact around the ground, which is pretty good. So from our team, I think that's a couple of the girls that's having like great seasons that are just kind of getting missed. So Brenna I think is the main one.
Now, while you were listing a few names, I actually finally remembered of a key defender. She's only in the second season. Mackenzie Early from Hawthorn seems to be having a decent season. That's one of the names I could think of. So I find a few questions for you. Appreciate you coming on. Some favourite TV show, movies? Is there any type of shows or movies that you got into recently or previously?
Movies, like I love Leonardo DiCaprio, so it's like I mean, like, love all those, like, Shutter Island, The Great Gatsby, all those ones.
Mm.
In terms
Yeah.
of, like, TV shows, I just love, like, binge TV shows. So, like, either, like, your Vampire Diaries or Gossip Girl,
Yeah.
Euphoria, all those kinda, like, teenage ones.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so they're sort of the ones that I've been watching lately. Don't really have too much time for
Yeah.
for movies in between, like, work and footy, so when I get some
Yeah.
downtime, I try and relax and put on a movie, but, yeah, they're the ones I've been watching lately.
Any particular comedy shows? Are you a comedy person? What type of genre do you generally try and watch?
So, like, in terms of, like, I don't watch too much TV, but I watch a lot of TikTok, so that's probably where a
Okay.
lot of my
Yeah.
time where a lot of my time goes. I've been watching heaps of, like, The Impractical Jokers,
Yeah.
lately, and I think they're so funny. Um, in terms of, like, comedy, um, like, I've been watching, like, Matt Rife as well. He's super funny, I think, just some of his crowd work is so
Mm.
funny. But, yeah, I don't watch a lot of, like, live TV,
No, yeah.
but, yeah, do watch a lot of TikTok.
That's good. So, in just one final thing I want to appreciate, just I found this very interesting. I found online too. In 2017, you competed in the Cadet World Champions in Santiago in Chile. How was that, and how did that come about? And what passion did how did the passion for that come about?
Yeah, so, before I was doing AFL, I was judo, so that's a mixed martial art,
Yeah.
involving, like, throwing people rather than hitting, which I guess helped, Cynthia and I's tackling abilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just training. I used to do CrossFit as well, so I was just doing CrossFit, and at the gym that I was doing CrossFit at, there was a judo, I guess, like, training session happening at the same time, and
Yeah.
my family were, like, quite like, "What is going on?" And we gave it a try. So I think I started when I was probably sort of, like, simultaneous with footy. I'd played a heap of sport growing up, including, like, basketball and, range of other sports that you do when you're growing up. But,
Mm.
yeah, like, started doing judo, and it's a really, like, family-like sport, very small community base, so it's really easy to get super involved with, and that's what I sort of did. I got involved quite early on and found that I think I did it for maybe, like, 4 years, maybe,
Yeah.
like, maybe, like, sort of like 14 to 18. Um, and yeah, fell in love with it. I had a really good group of
Mm.
friends there, really great coaches. Um, and yeah, was lucky enough to be selected for the Australian team at 17. Went to
Yeah.
Santiago in Chile and competed in the World Championships there. And in comparison, like, it was such a huge achievement just to get selected for Australia.
Mm.
And then when I the competition that I was in, like, the international competition, in terms of, like, Australian judo and compared to the world, we're kind of in the mid rank, and
Yeah.
I had a really great fight on my first fight, but unfortunately lost my first fight. And I don't know if
Okay.
you know too much about international sports, but it's
Mm.
pretty much elimination as soon as you lose.
Okay.
So I lost kind of due to, like, time, like the time, I guess it expired and I had less points. It wasn't necessarily that I lost via, like, a armbar or anything like that. So it was an
Mm.
awesome experience though to go overseas and compete internationally and see the different athletes and the different ways people would fight. So
Yeah.
yeah, outstanding experience, and I was very grateful to be a part of that. But then ultimately, like, I didn't have enough time to kind of do judo and footy,
Yeah.
and then yeah, footy kind of just, I guess, took over my life, which has been nice.
If it had a mix. So I just want to add two more quick ones. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, you're right.
Um, the who would you feel? So we mentioned earlier a bit about who loves to come in the limelight. Who would be a player that loves talking about themselves or doing an interview like this? And who do you think I should try and target next from any particular club that you think I should try and get on next?
Oh, I don't really know too many personalities from other clubs, other than, like,
You know,
I know a
always
lot of the Gold
in.
Coast girls have moved on, and
Yeah.
the North girls, I'm not too sure who would. But from our team, I think some of the younger girls would definitely be, like, your best target.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of, I guess, like, it comes down to, like, helping others and allowing your
Mm, of
platform to build as well. So I guess some of the more,
course.
like, girls with gratitude to jump on board and really help and, like, provide some insight into, like, what it's
Mm,
like at AFLW level and what the journey is like to get here. So yeah, I reckon definitely, I think the young girls around that, like 18 to 20, 23 would be your best bet.
Nice. That's definitely. I mean, it's good to get people. I like to get anyone, no matter if they're played one game, no games, or they're just starting their career, or there was someone at the end of it. It's good to get anyone. Now, the hardest question of them all, and the last one, I really appreciate you coming on. It's plain and simple. Who's the better sister, you or Cynthia? Footballer.
Yeah. I mean, Cynthia obviously won the club champion, but as I said,
Yeah.
she owes it all to me, like as her mentor.
Agreed. Yeah.
And yeah, I think Cynthia's a great footballer. She's got such a bright future ahead of her. She's just such a she brings everyone up with her, and her intensity and effort in the game is just outstanding. And whilst we play very different positions, we do play quite similar styles of football, and I think our connection
Yeah.
on the field, just playing with each other for so many years and understanding patterns and movement and stuff has been really good for our season so far, this season 8. So I would have to say, like, Cynthia is the better footballer, but in terms of,
Yeah.
like, if we were to come against each other, I don't know what would happen, because I do love being on the same team as her. So that's something I'm very grateful for. I'm not envious of the Press Barker sisters at all, playing against each other. So I'm very grateful to
Yeah.
be playing alongside Cynthia.
That's right. I really appreciate you coming on, Lexi. All the best for the rest of the season. Who knows? You could be playing finals at this rate. And even if you don't, it's still from a season that you didn't win a game last season, unfortunately. But to see the progression this year has been really good. Had a few more experienced players. Obviously, Chloe come in and a few others as well. And to be in that conversation still right now is a good credit to the rest of you girls. So appreciate you coming on, Lexi.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Cooper. Yeah. Keep an eye
Nice.
out for the rest of the
Appreciate it.
year. Beautiful.
Will do.